Welcome to the Walk This House podcast, your ultimate journey for all things real estate. Where top industry professionals share their insight and knowledge about purchasing, selling, or maintaining your biggest investment, all under one roof. More than just a podcast, Walk This House is your comprehensive library/database of information aimed at informing, educating, and inspiring better home health.
All right, welcome again to another episode of Walk This House. I'm Mark Pollard, your host, and today my guest is Diana Padilla. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate that.
Today we're going to be talking about insurance, particularly home insurance, but you have a lot of other products that you do, so we can talk about those as well. So to get started, can you tell us how you got into the insurance business and what your journey's been to get you here?
Yes, absolutely. So I've known my boss, Bob Hillard Insurance Agency. I've known him for over 15 years. We met at church many moons ago, and about 8 years ago, I was taking a break in social services. And so around the same time, Bob needed an assistant. So we spoke and we agreed to hopping on. And so I've been with Bob for over 8 years. When I started, I had no clue about insurance. However, Bob's been in the business for over 40 years. So I am definitely, being trained by one of the best out there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about what Bob, what policies you write, and a little bit more about the agency.
Mm-hmm. So with Farmers Insurance, Farmers does write policies for home, landlord policies, commercial, life, and so forth. However, with Bob's agency, he works through Farmers, but he also is able to write with over 30 different companies.
Fantastic.
So it's very helpful during this time.
Yeah, I bet. That is great. I've known Bob for a couple of years, and we've gotten to know him better through the events that we've done. And we were talking, that's why we're here today. We were talking last week
Yes.
about some insurance and about some good things.
Mhm.
And we talked about a smart meter, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So we'll leave that teaser out there. But I was amazed at the information. And I said, we got to have you on to share this. There's a lot of information that can save people from getting canceled and also save them huge amounts of money. So
Yes.
it's so excited to talk
Mhm.
about that today. So thank you for being on.
Sure.
Excuse me. So most people, we were talking a little bit, most people get an insurance policy and it's a one and done and they don't talk to their agent again for 5 years. And I'm kind of guilty as that with that as well. So for homeowners, can you kind of just give us the basic why we need homeowners insurance? And we'll get into more of the add-ons and stuff later, but
Mhm.
what are the basics of getting a policy?
It's very important to have insurance, especially if you're, let's say, a new homeowner. And, you've invested so much in purchasing this new home. You want to make sure that you have the proper coverage. Of course, if you're a new homeowner, your lender or your mortgagee is going to require you to have insurance. Without that, they're not going to close escrow. However, once that policy is bound, you want to talk to your insurance agent because you want to make sure that, your Rolex watch is covered. That if your wife's ring comes up missing, that you are going to have that replaced. That if, your house burns down, it's going to be completely replaced, repaired, and so forth. It's very important to know what you have covered, what you don't have covered, what happens in case of an emergency, and what you actually need. Because there's a lot of people that have um, expensive purses or they have, antiques. Well, their beautiful antique picture is not going to be covered with the regular insurance, policy out there. But those are later on the add-ons that you can add. And it's also very important to talk to your agent when you have already closed escrow to go over your policy. And even every year, because things happen, things do change every year. You could possibly have a child and you want to know if that child, what happens if I can't pay mortgage? What happens if my husband passes away? Is my mortgagee going to be paid? What's going to happen if I'm not here any longer and me and my husband are both paying that mortgage bill? Or I have now, a new roof on my property. Am I going to get a discount? I have, whatever the case is, every year things change. Every year you have sometimes you have an upgrade in your house and you want to know if that upgrade is going to cause you to have a discount. Everybody's always excited about discounts. Or two, how to prevent your insurance from not non-renewing, not
That
giving
dreaded
you
letter.
that dreaded letter that's coming sometimes.
Yeah.
So
That's fantastic. And like you say, I'm guilty of that. Once you get the policy, you think, okay, well, that's check that off the list. I'm good. But fantastic to meet with, because life changes. And
mhm,
with, kids, if you're purchasing things to put in the home, you want to make sure you're covered because it's insurance. That's what
right.
it's there for. And so you want to keep up to date on that and talk to your agent every year. That's fantastic. Something that I will personally take note of in the future. So speaking of that, what influences home insurance rates?
Many
What
things.
factors are there?
There's many things. Depends on the insurance carrier that you're using.
Okay.
So most of the times it is, the fire area where you're
That's
located.
a big one in San
hmm
Diego. I hear that all the time.
Yes, there's also people that are in a flood zone. Not everybody is in a flood zone,
Hmm.
yet a lot of times people believe that they need flood coverage. You don't want to be overinsured or underinsured, of course, but your insurance agent will be able to let you know if you are in those two
So that you can
problematic.
call you and say, hey, am I in a flood zone? You'll look it up and see
Yes.
if you need flood insurance. I hear that flood insurance is a little bit difficult to get. Is that true? Or is it just something that people just don't add on
I think
because it's so rare?
I think it's not that it's difficult. Nothing is difficult. I think that what is happening is that people um are not educated on it.
Okay.
So there's areas that are not in a flood zone, yet people want flood insurance. Now, they don't understand sometimes that if you come in your house and your living room is flooded with water because a pipe burst, that doesn't mean it's covered by flood insurance. It means it's covered by your home insurance.
Yeah, well,
So, that's the reason that it's very important for the client to speak to your agent. So the agent tells the client what you have, what you don't have, what you need, what you don't need.
nice.
And again, you don't want to be paying for an additional coverage that you don't need.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to overpay.
Mhm.
We just had all those rains and we had that big issue with some city channels that weren't cleared out. And speaking of flood insurance, a lot of people didn't have flood insurance and their homes were just wiped out,
Mhm.
and they're battling all that. How does that relate to, did you have any clients affected by that? And how do you work, like, is that strictly the city's responsibility, or does farmers have some of the liability there if they had a flood insurance policy?
So FEMA is who allows us to understand or tells us what areas, what zip codes, what addresses are in a flood zone. There could be a home across the street that's in a flood zone and your house is a little elevated and it's not in a flood zone. So
Yeah.
FEMA will determine that. And they determine that every 2 years. So if you believe that you are now in a flood zone, your neighbor across the way is in a flood zone and they're XYZ, and you are you see the water coming up, but now you feel like you are now in the flood zone, you need to contact your agent so your agent can have FEMA go out there, reevaluate the situation. And if you need flood, we will add flood.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see how all that excuse me, plays out. As I saw just, I think it was yesterday, the day before, that a group of people have launched a lawsuit against the
Yes,
city for their neglect in keeping
correct.
those drainages clear. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, what's really interesting is that in an area in Southcrest off of Gamma Street, we have a client who there's a few apartment complexes there, and one of our clients own one section of those one section of the apartment complexes. So that first section, they have flood insurance
Oh,
because that section is in a flood zone. But a lot of, well, her neighbors, the other owners of the other 3 apartments, 2 of them had flood, 1 of them did not.
oh boy.
And some of the homeowners living in that area had no insurance. A lot of times, and it's really sad because what we see is, a client will call us and say, I just finished paying my house.
Yeah.
I don't need insurance no more. And I'm not paying money to my lender no more. Remove them from my insurance. I don't have a mortgagee. So we will remove them, but we do emphasize the importance of insurance because in a situation like this one, your house could be repaired, replaced, rebuilt. But if you have no insurance, you have no coverage.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know someone personally that their house is paid off a few years ago and they canceled their insurance.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to pay it.
Right.
And yeah, they live in an area that gets storms in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hurricane can
scary.
come along and yeah, that is scary.
It's really scary.
That risk is out there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of add-ons are there? What are their purpose? And we've started a little bit with water, with the flood insurance, but what other options are there for insurance for homeowners?
We have the state of California offers California Earthquake Authority insurance, which is insurance for an earthquake. Yes.
Do we have those in California?
Yeah. So we hear that
It's
the
been a
big
little
one is
while.
coming sometime.
Yeah,
we
the
don't
big
know
one's
when,
coming.
but even if we have a small one and your house needs to be repaired, if you don't have the CA coverage, California Earthquake Authority insurance, that means that your home policy will not cover that crack or that rebuild or repair.
So that's all insured through that company.
Earthquake.
Through earthquake insurance. That's not that's farmers will write that through them.
Correct.
Got
And
it.
then we also have there's additional add-ons as well, for floaters that we call floaters for people who have antiques, who have precious heirlooms, expensive items in their home, because the normal insurance policy will not cover it.
Okay. So if I have priceless paintings in my
Mhm.
home, I can get those covered under a floater policy.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any others worth mentioning? Fire, earthquake, floaters. You also do automobile.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We offer commercial
And
policies.
commercial.
Some people purchase, apartment complexes, duplexes, and they need commercial policy. We write those. We also are very heavy on life insurance
Oh,
because if you are a new homeowner, you're purchasing a home, let's say your husband passes away or who's going to keep purchasing the home? Who's
mm.
going to continue paying off the home? So the life insurance comes into play and it can pay off the home.
So it'll pay it off in full?
Yes.
Wow. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That is
And even
great.
more.
And even more.
And even more. Yes. So
That's
you
fantastic.
have that option to, get a few proposals to
Yeah.
see what's best for you and your family.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit and talk about fire. It's been in the media a ton, especially the last year. Companies are pulling out of California. People are scared. You mentioned that people are calling you saying, I'm got a letter. I'm going to be dropped. And so how's your agency handling those calls?
We are bombarded. We
Are
are
you?
literally
I
bombarded.
imagine.
It's very tough to answer every single concern. We have a lot of customers, a lot of our clients, even people who are Googling us and just calling us in and asking, what do I do? I have this letter that I'm being non-renewed because I'm in a fire zone. What do I do? Or people that are asking, will I be non-renewed? And I'm hearing all this on the media, on the radio, on TV. All these insurance companies are pulling out. Are you guys pulling out? I heard you're pulling out as well. Well, don't confuse us. We're not State Farm. We are farmers. We're not pulling out of California as of now. And we are still writing new policies where a lot of other companies who are not only pulling out, but the ones that are staying are not writing new policies.
Mm. And those you mentioned have been is derated?
B.
There's
derated.
Their rating has dropped.
Correct. So some of them are B rated, and the rated scale is B, C, and D. So there's A, AA, AAA, and B, C, and D. So nobody wants to be at B at all.
Yeah.
But the fact that now those insurance companies have pulled out or cannot insure new policies are very scary because, as you know, a lot of our business is the realtors, and the realtors are bringing in our customers, and some of those customers are saying, hey, we called my auto insurance agent and he cannot write my new home policy.
Yeah.
So it's scary.
Are you
out there.
seeing areas of San Diego County that you can't get coverage for fire, or you're able to help most of the people?
We're able to help most of the people. I don't
Okay.
see any areas that we're not able to help.
Okay.
I did about last year had a situation where a client, actually a realtor, was trying to purchase a home that was really, really in bad conditions, in very bad condition. And I mean, not even California Fair Plan could take that house.
Yeah.
So
Wood shake roof.
Well, no, the roof was not even there. So there was stairs where there was no railing.
Oh, so
I mean,
a lot of health
it
and
was
safety
very,
issues.
very, very poor condition. So in that situation, of course, there's things that can be done, but we rather have the owner or the property owner who's going to purchase that house fix that a little bit before we even, attempt to insure it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. So in part of the flood insurance, we were talking last week, and you opened my eyes to some significant savings that you can get by getting one of these devices. And this is a Flow by Moen. This is a smart water sensor that can be installed by a licensed plumber. It's installed on the main line of your plumbing home, or of your plumbing in your home, and it will automatically sense. It will learn the schedule of the occupants, so it doesn't turn off while you're taking a nice long shower, but it will also know when there's a leak. And so there's a lot of great information. Moen makes one. There's some other brands out there.
Mhm.
But tell us what the savings are with getting a device like this and all the benefits, because I was blown away.
So I remember having this conversation with you, and the reason I say Flow by Moen to, we talked about this specific company is because it's being, rated as one of the top-notch companies out there. Yes, there's other devices that you can buy, but most companies, insurance companies, are using Flow by Moen. So this is the deal. We know that the insurance company is changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to continue changing. It has changed. So when you're hearing all this negative stuff on media where I'm being non-renewed, these insurance companies are unfair. Yeah, that is true. However, what is not being shown or displayed or spoken about is that there's ways that you can prevent from being non-renewed. And you mentioned, you're guilty of not talking to your insurance agent in 5 years. Well, what if you received a letter and the letter says, I am being non-renewed? And you call up your agent and your agent says, well, yeah, you're being renewed. Your house is like 30 years old or more. And, it's really not something that the company wants. It's not a good risk for us. And you tell your agent, well, I failed to tell you last year, I got Flow by Moen. And I have this device. It works great. I also have a new roof in my property. I hadn't put in a new roof since I purchased it in 1945. Well, I have a new roof. I have new pipings, I have new electrical, I have all this new stuff that I've been doing in my home. I failed to tell you that. And your agent's going to say, what? Every time that we send you a letter every year, you never replied. And now you're telling me that you got all this stuff and now you're being non-renewed. I am going to fight for you. You are not going to be non-renewed. You are going to continue being renewed with us. Why? Because number one, the insurance company sees it this way. If you have this device and your house is a little older or over 25 years, what they're saying is that this is a more likable home to insure than a property that is 25, 30 years of age without it.
Mm.
Let's say a house without it has no claims and doesn't have flow by mowing and wants a quote. The insurance company, most of them are going to say, no, I don't think so. I don't want it. And another home is 25, 30 years of age, has flow by mowing, and has a claim last year of $20,000 and calls the insurance industry or insurance company. And the guy says, oh, well, I'd rather take this guy's house with flow by mowing, even with one claim, than the one that's 30 years of age, who that guy doesn't even care to put this on in their home.
Yeah.
Because if they have a claim, it's going to be a pricey one.
Well,
So
that's fantastic. I think as a service provider, if you're showing that you're in the same realm of thinking with your insurance company, that look, this is my home, you're providing the insurance, but I'm going to do everything I can to help you not have to pay out. And in return, you're going to give me the best rate you can and not cancel me. I think that's a nice relationship to have with your insurance company.
Correct.
It's fantastic. So on average, you were telling me some numbers, some real life experience. What can you save on an annual premium with a device like this installed?
One of our previous, a previous policy that we renewed received the discount for flow by mowing. Now, flow by mowing, it's very important that our clients or any person that is going to purchase this has it installed by a plumber who's certified, because the insurance company is going to want a notification, is going to want some kind of invoice, is going to want some kind of proof that the person who installed it is a professional who's got a license and is able to install this. You don't want to get, my uncle that works, part-time jobs, doing whatever, or, a guy from Home Depot. You want to make sure that you have a professional who installs it. Now, with that, our client had documentation that they purchased the device. They had documentation that the plumber that they use is a reputable plumber, has a license to do the job, and their insurance policy was about $1,400, and it went down to close to $800. Wow. So it is a very beautiful discount, especially being an older home where some people do not want to insure it. Yeah. So that is great news to tell people when they're only hearing bad news out there. I think that a lot of times the news, people or, just the industry in itself, they kind of want to scare people. And I know that these things are happening. I'm aware that the insurance companies are pulling out. I'm aware that it is getting difficult out there, but there's still hope.
Yeah, we all like to have some hope. We all like to hear some good news once in a while, because we know how the news rolls. So fantastic. So I purchased this on Amazon, and it was about $450. Some of the other sites, Amazon doesn't sell them directly. I mean, Amazon, Moen doesn't sell them directly. They have distributors.
Correct.
So you can choose your own distributor or go on to Amazon, but $450 roughly versus you're significantly saving. You said from $1,400 down to $800, so almost half, and it pays for itself in the first month. Right. So that's fantastic. You have the install charge also as well, but so within 2 months it's paid for itself, and you don't get canceled. So fantastic information.
Well, not only do you not get canceled, let's say you do get canceled. Let's say for whatever reason, the insurance company says, I'm not going to buy it. I'm still going to cancel you. I'm with another, let's say they're not with Farmers. Let's say they're with someone else and they
Yeah.
install it, yet that other insurance company still says, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. Well, the good thing is that when they get quotes by other companies, the other companies that can write in California will take that in consideration, still offer you that discount, even if your current policy is going to non-renew.
Fantastic. Good information.
Yes.
What other tips do you have for navigating insurance in general?
Well, a lot of times we write with California Fair Plan.
Okay.
However, there's also another insurance called difference in conditions. So that means that anything that California Fair Plan does not cover, difference in conditions will. So I wanted to show you just two samples. We get a lot of bad feedback about California Fair Plan, and it's fine. It's everybody's prerogative if they like it or not.
Yeah.
But we have this new insurance policy that we just wrote, issued 506 of this year. The home is built in 2011. The deductible is $1,000. Let me put on my glasses here. Is $1,000. Their dwelling, which is there to rebuild their home, is 1.138 million.
So they're insured for that amount.
Correct. And I just wanted to show you just a couple little details on the coverage that it has and the premium. The reason we wrote him through California Fair Plan was because his previous insurance non-renewed him because of the fire. And every quote that he received was going to be about $8,000 to $12,000.
Wow. I've heard those numbers and people I've been talking to.
So California Fair Plan, surprisingly, this house is over $1 million home. And it has, not only to rebuild the house, but personal property coverage, loss of rent or loss of use. That meaning that if the house needs to be rebuilt, that client will be getting a lump sum amount to, rent an Airbnb, a hotel, or whatnot. Meantime, their house is being rebuilt. And their premium is over $4,000.
Yeah, $49.30 for the year as opposed to $12.
Correct.
That's a big savings.
So
there.
A lot of people are not educated in that.
Yeah.
They don't understand what California Fair Plan covers or what they don't. Obviously, they're not going to cover water. They're going to cover fire. So that's where the difference in conditions policy comes into play. Difference in conditions will cover everything that California Fair Plan does not. So mostly always the water, theft, liability. In this case, our client doesn't care about water coverage. He says, I'll pay out of pocket. It's a new home. So I do want liability. So we added liability for him. So now he has two policies. He has the California Fair Plan for $4,900. And now he has a liability policy for another $4,500.
Okay.
For the year.
For the year.
For the year.
Fantastic.
So now
you customize with two different policies.
Correct.
Based on what he needs.
And he doesn't have to pay $12,000.
That's fantastic. What is this extended dwelling coverage? What is that?
So that's an amount to, let's say from today, his policy is issued on 506, right? His policy has been issued since 506. Let's say a month from now, that dwelling has increased. So to reconstruct the house is more than $1 million he has.
Okay.
So that
that's
extended
taking an evaluation next year, the year after.
Correct.
Okay.
Every year that home is going to reconstruct is going to cost more. And a lot of times our clients will also call and say, my bill went up. My insurance went up again this year.
Yeah.
Well, last year to reconstruct your house was $500,000. This year is $530,000 to rebuild. So that's going to cost more to rebuild. So it's going to cost more for your insurance. This is another policy that
really quick, before we jump in that one, I have a question.
Yeah.
In the last 3 years, home prices have almost doubled. So how do you keep up with that? I mean, the market seems to increase faster than your annual meeting with your insurance person. Do you need to call your insurance agent every 6 months if you feel like the the values are going up that quickly?
Well, the value and the insurance, the dwelling coverage is two different things.
Okay.
So we see homes that you can rebuild, small homes in La Jolla that you can rebuild for $300 and so $1,000 to rebuild it. And it's a 1-bedroom little
It's a
house,
smaller. Okay. That
right?
makes sense.
And they're paying $2 million for the house.
Yeah. So
So-
that's easy.
So it's not what the client is willing to pay that the house, is going to be rebuilt for. It's the amount of coverage to purchase, the products,
materials
the building materials,
and
labor
labor.
costs, that sort of thing.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
You got another one?
Yes, I have one more. And this house is built in 1991. And I like to show this one because the one I just showed you was in Chula Vista 91914 area.
Okay.
This one is in Jamul,
Oh.
91935 area. This dwelling is $849,000. That means with $849,000, that house is going to be rebuilt in Jamul in a fire area. This house is, the deductible is $2,500. And I want you to read that premium right there because this is in a
Let's see.
fire zone.
Total premium?
Mhm.
No way.
Yes.
$1,224.
Yes.
That's an annual premium.
Yes.
That's less than most people's monthly.
Okay.
How is that possible?
Go ahead and read the coverages that it offers.
Dwelling. So the check marks are all the coverages. Here?
Correct.
So you've got personal property, 150,000, fair rental value, 200,000, ordinance of or law coverages, 84, debris removal, 50,000, extended dwelling coverage, 212,000, dwelling replacement cost included, inflation guard included, personal property replacement cost included, and permitted incidental occupancy. So they're getting all that for $1,200 a year.
Yes. And that individual also wants a difference in conditions.
Okay.
And that difference in conditions policy is going to be about $600.
And this is an $849,000 home.
Mm-hmm.
What's the magic sauce here? It just the way it penciled out?
Yes. And also, I think it's very important that your agent knows what you really want.
Yeah.
Because with California Fair Plan, this individual wanted about $200,000 on their personal property, I believe.
Okay.
And so some people want only $50,000. Some people want $500,000 on their
Yeah.
personal property. So it's very important that your agent knows what you want
Okay.
and what you need.
So let them know. Don't just say, "Hey, I need a policy. What can you do?" Take some time, think it through, look at what you've got to insure, and then tell them that's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe we're at the age where if your agent is not listening to you and doesn't really take you in account and you're just another number, then maybe you should be looking somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Send them a non-renewal letter.
Yeah, send them.
I love it.
Exactly.
Well, this has been fantastic. Any other thoughts of wisdom to share with us before we wrap it up?
Well, I just want to thank you very much for having me on board. And, we're here to help. I'm not the most intelligent person in insurance. I've only been in the business for 8 years, but I do work with someone who's been in the business for over 40 years. And he has so much information and he is so knowledgeable. And we're learning, about these changes every single day. And all we want is to, insure our clients the best that we could and be an agency that's, respected, trusted, ethical. I think a lot of companies have lost that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And my interactions with you and Bob have been that. I feel like you're honest and you're ethical and you're genuine. So
Thank you.
it's a great quality to have, and I appreciate that. How do they get a hold of you if they need to reach out and get a quote for a home?
Dun, 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 dun. We're going to get calls.
Oh,
no.
You're already bombarded.
I'm very bombarded. They can call us at 619-691-6966. I'm Diana. BB is able to help you, and also Bob Hillard, or we can be emailed and at bhillard.com Hillard at farmersagent.com or diana.bhillard at farmersagency.com.
Excellent. That's fantastic. And you do what areas of you cover all of Southern California?
We cover all California.
All of California.
So we do
Okay.
have some quotes that we currently just send out to some of our realtors in Manatee, in San Francisco. We pretty much cover all California.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for all the good information and for being here today.
Thank
For
you.
those of you who are watching us on YouTube or on our Spotify channel, be sure to click that like button, and we'll see you next time on Walk This House.
Thank you.
Thanks.